First and foremost, our goal is to be stewards of our land, to understand the land that we have and how it works. My name is Nikki Morgan. I'm one of the owners of Heartbeat Farm, which is in Neolia, Missouri. The main focus of our farm is diversified vegetable production. So we focus on growing organically without pesticides, herbicides, or synthetic fertilizers. We do a lot of things besides vegetables. We tend to dabble a little bit in agroforestry. It's not our main focus, but obviously we're doing maple syrup with our maple trees. We grow a number of perennials, including a lot of fruits and nuts. So we grow in our orchard apples, plums, pears, figs, pawpaws. We also have elderberry, hazelnut, wild blackberry, wild black raspberry from our forest. We have all the sumacs, wild plums. There's just a ton of things that you can harvest from your forest land as food crops that most people don't know a lot about and are just right there for you in front of your face. We've been working with the NRCS essentially since we started farming. Within our first year, we kind of made contact with them, and we had a particular person that took us under her wing and helped us, but so far we've had tons of staff that have been involved in our operation. Every year we have had some version of an NRCS program active on our farm. We've built 2 high tunnels with the EQIP program. We have a contract with the Conservation Stewardship Program where we implemented an agroforestry planting with multi-crop species. We have put in a bat habitat on 10 acres of our forest land. We've put in cover crop in our orchard. We have built a pollinator habitat in our field. So we've done a lot of different programs throughout the past few years with them. In addition to some of the financial support, we've received technical support in the form of management plans. We've had a transition to organic plan done, which is an assessment to let us know what it would take to certify our farm as organic. We've had a water management plan to help us build a desirable water management system, a forest management plan to help us clean up our forest to make it more healthy for the trees, for the livestock, and for our particular uses such as doing maple syrup. We have sort of 3 areas where we tap maples and we rotate. Every year pretty much we rotate to a different section. So we tap about 110 trees.
Holy cow.
Every year. And the season generally runs through mid-March, give or take. 2 seasons ago, we were still collecting and cooking the first day of spring. We had to cut off, but we probably could have cooked for another week. So we had a lot of other stuff that we needed to get doing. So that was a record year for us.
Great.
I think we made about 46 gallons of syrup that year.
That's impressive. That's a lot of work.
Yeah. So now we've created a little bit more of a permanent path along the way. And so our trees are tagged here. So that's the tag. Lets us know our trees. They're all marked with numbers so we can make notes if we need to. And then helps us identify them. So like me, I don't tap a red oak. It's okay to look like an idiot at least once a day, right?
That's how you learn, right?
Yeah.
This is great.
You can see this is the scarring from the tap we had this year. By next season, you will hardly be able to find it. There's, you might find like some old ones, that might be one. It completely heals over, but we still rotate just to, we have enough maples. Why stress the tree every year if we don't have to? Even if it's not really hurting it that bad, we've got options. So we bring a trailer through with a big tote, and that's we take the sap from the buckets, we dump it into the tote, and then that goes back and we cook back by the house. So we're kind of close to power and all of that, but we cook over wood fire outside. And we've invested in a reverse osmosis process. Reverse osmosis, if you use it in your kitchen water, it's going to take the contaminants out of your water so you have a more pure water. Well, for us, what we want are the contaminants, which is the sugar and the minerals. And so it essentially takes about half of the water content out of the sap before you cook it, and then you don't have to cook as long. So instead of doing like a 12-hour cook and getting 2.5 gallons of syrup, we can do a 6 to 8 hour cook and get 2 to 3 gallons of syrup.
That's pretty neat. Have you done anything to help these trees grow any better? I'm a forester, I have to ask these questions.
Nope, we let them do what they're doing. We'd rather keep it more open and still accessible to the wildlife. We did do a forest management plan.
We haven't implemented it, but it was one of the first in Missouri where it was actually specifically for maple production.
Oh, that's so cool. I did not know that.
Yes.
That's really cool. The more you know.
How many acres of forest land do you have?
50.
Okay.
So the whole property is about 69 acres. 50 of it is wooded. And then we've got our 4-acre field where we mainly grow vegetables. There's a small kind of overgrown field in the back where we have other perennials that we harvest like persimmons and wild plums, but we don't do a ton of maintenance there. And then just around the house, the farmyard area there with the orchard. So this basically goes, straight back. It's one solid section of forest.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not split up or anything. So a pretty vibrant, living area with lots of wildlife. We always say our farm is a living farm. When you come here, like there are bugs, you're gonna sweat, you're gonna get bitten, you're gonna eat something you didn't want to eat. I like to get people that come here to eat things. So it's like, here, try this, now try that. We really like to maintain just a lot of wild edibles. This is fragrant sumac.
There's some right there.
Yeah, there's some. They're just about ripe. Have you had one before? Yeah, they're really good. It makes berries in the spring. Other types of native sumac make their fruit generally in the fall. This makes nice little tart berries, and sometimes they even look kind of milky, which is a little bit of a turnoff, but they're pretty tasty, and they have a little bit of a hard seed inside them. But it's the skin that has the flavor.
So it sounds like you're getting really kind of a lot of value from your forest land.
Yeah, its existence is essential to our operation. We don't rely on it for our income by any means. The biggest part of us utilizing forest crops is for education. We just really want to get more people involved, more people to know, the food around them, and to be more interested in it, to just spark that interest.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to see the bat habitat?
Yes, let's see everything.
So this section right here adjacent to our field is where we selected for the bat habitat. We wanted them to be in proximity to where we're growing our vegetables so that they can benefit our entire system. So implementing a bat habitat is not putting up bat houses. It is simply selecting a natural habitat for the bats that already exists and making it more readily accessible to the bats. So we'll select trees that are beneficial for the bats with exfoliating bark such as oaks or hickories, and make sure that those trees are exposed to sunlight throughout the day. So that might mean also girdling trees nearby it or selecting trees to girdle, which simply means to kill the tree essentially. And that allows for more habitat for the bats.
We consider all of northern Missouri to be potential maternity habitat for the Indiana bat, which is an endangered species.
So yeah, this is one of the double girdled trees. It's about foot up.
Oh yeah, right there, okay. So, to kill a tree, one method of doing it is girdling it, where you take a chainsaw and cut into the living part of the tree right under the bark, about a ½ inch or so deep. And basically you're severing the xylem and phloem, where the water and nutrients move up and down in the tree, so that it basically dies from the top down. The concept of double girdling essentially is basically giving you insurance to make sure that the process works. So you can see on this tree right here, it's been girdled here, and then way down here, it's been girdled also. And it's been done down so low because there's also another stem coming off the back here. And on more mature trees, a double girdle without any other kind of treatment, no chemical or anything like that, will usually kill a tree, and that's pretty obvious here.
Yep, it's very simple, a very natural process, nothing additional added.
When was this done?
It was done in 2018.
So 2 growing seasons at least. To kill this tree, you're providing more opportunities in the future to have additional bat habitat, because as this tree continues to kind of fall apart, this bark will start opening up and sloughing off, and you'll have those cracks and crevices and gaps under the bark for the bat to be happy and safe. This practice that they've done here is part of the Conservation Stewardship Program. It's a practice to improve your forest land, improve things for habitat. So I guess you've got your whole place in CSP.
Yes.
All right. Excellent.
We're in hope that this provides habitat and that bats will come, but you're just putting it out there, creating in the natural space for living things to be. After we put this in, we noticed, and I don't know if it's related, but we noticed an increase in our woodpecker population.
Definitely.
And so woodpeckers then provide habitat for bluebirds. And so then we saw an increase in our bluebird population.
The additional benefit is you are also opening up your canopy a little bit.
Right.
So there are some other trees in here that are going to benefit from having the extra space here. And right around us, we've got more hickory trees that will benefit a lot of wildlife as well as the bat. There's an oak back here. This is a white oak right underneath this guy that's finally got a chance. It didn't really have a chance, so that's good to see. So this was indicated as a keeper for bat habitat.
Exactly. So this is a
versus-
living tree.
Yep. So this is white oak, very important tree here in Missouri. The important thing about a tree like this is it's kind of on the boundary of the woods, or if it was on the interior of the woods, it would be open around it so that it gets some sunlight on it, because that's important again for that Indiana bat. So lots of opportunities here.
Yeah.
Good things going on.
So this is our main growing area where we grow vegetables. This is the focus of our business, but you know, we like to dabble. So all of our vegetables are grown out here. Everything is grown in semi-raised beds. We pick the vegetables that we like, and then we pick the vegetables that our customers like, and we pick the vegetables that work, and we sell them primarily through a community-supported agriculture program and through the Lake St. Louis Farmers Market. We started farming here in 2015, so it's been 6 years now. It's hard to believe it's been that long, but we have done a lot in 6 years for sure. This farm here was not a farm before we started growing here. This field that we're in right now was built up with a lot of overgrown brush and tall grass. It was mowed occasionally, that was it. So we have slowly transitioned this land into a working farm while also working with the natural landscape. So we've implemented our annual vegetable productions, but we've also built in berms along the steeper hillsides to control water and erosion, and within those we grow perennial crops as well. I could show you our hazelnuts, which are coming in pretty strong this year too.
Let's take a look
just
at
down
that.
here on these berms.
Okay.
I think out of like 75 bushes, about 3 maybe died. That's it. And we have never watered them.
Yeah.
We've done very little to them. They could use a little TLC. We would like to come in and start mulching them now, and clean up this berm a little bit more. But they have thrived. And again, like I say, the put it in and leave it kind of method to see what lives. These are thriving without very little help from us. And then the other berms in here, we have elderberry, which is sort of hit or miss, but it's some of the bushes that were thriving are now kind of spreading, and so we're kind of pulling some up. And elderberry is awesome because you can literally just cut the end of a branch off and just stick it in the ground, and it'll root and grow.
So are these berms on 1% grade again?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and these drain into the woods this way.
Are these 20 feet apart?
Yes, there's one or two of them that are a little bit wider that might be closer to 30 feet, but I think they're mostly 20.
Well, I like this.
Yeah, and this area between the berms is wide enough that if we wanted to put in vegetable beds, we could do about 3 beds nicely spaced out. If we wanted to put larger tree crops in, we could do that. So if we wanted to add more fruit trees, that would be feasible. Right now, we could put cover crop in them just to help build the soil and try to compete with the fescue. We didn't do a good job of that last year, so most of this now is pretty much just grass. But once our chickens are just a little bit older, they'll come out here, and then we'll rotate them between these berms.
Okay. With the fencing?
With the fencing, yeah, with the fencing. Always with the fencing. We have a lot of predators, so yeah.
Chickens are your livestock, right?
Chickens are our livestock, although they
Yeah.
don't count as livestock most of the time. The NRCS. We don't
Yeah.
tell the chickens that they don't count.
Yeah. Tell us about the high tunnels.
High tunnels, completely funded by the NRCS, minus a little bit of labor. So the first one went up in 2017, 16, and then this one just went up last year. These are 30 by 96 high tunnels, which fits really nicely because the majority of our vegetable beds are 100 feet, so it's a little easier for us to manage rotation. With 2 tunnels, now we can do better rotation of the main crops we like to grow in there, like our tomatoes, for instance, so that we're not growing tomatoes in the same tunnel year after year. Even if we can rotate the beds, it's still a little harder for pest control. Last year, the tomatoes were over here. This year, they're over there. Same with our turmeric and our ginger, our heat-loving crops. So the high tunnel allows us to grow crops, more tropical crops like ginger and turmeric. You could grow them outside here, especially in Missouri. The summers lately have been pretty hot, but they won't mature as much as they will inside the high tunnels. In here we can get in much earlier in the season than we would otherwise, and then we can also grow much later into the fall. We've had tomatoes in our high tunnel sometimes into December, depending on the weather. So that's been really nice. It's always good to have those Christmas tomatoes.
Let's go look at the tomatoes.
Yeah, we can look at the tomatoes. They look really good now, so I'll be
Yeah,
happy to show
they
you the
look happy.
tomatoes. They're all strung up to the structure. We run a wire from one end to the other. So that's strong enough to hold the tomatoes, and it's supported by the actual structure itself. We chose to have the W trusses on the top of the high tunnel, which protects the structure a lot more from wind, heavy snow load, but also just weight from things like tomatoes. So all the tomatoes, they get tied with just a piece of baling twine, and then they get trellised up these lines. So you have fruit here. These leaves above them shade that fruit. Once that fruit is done, we'll strip all the leaves above that until we get to the next section of fruit, and that creates a lot of airflow. That helps a lot with disease management, getting those old leaves out. They're not really serving much of a purpose for the tomatoes at that point, and just keeps them a little bit healthier. And the landscape fabric just helps us with weeds, which also helps us with disease management, because one of the easiest ways to get disease is to not have airflow and to have a lot of weeds that are hosting diseases that are going to affect your plants. So this is our main source of irrigation. It comes from the well that is also used for our house and for our greenhouse. It's not great. We'd love to actually put a well out here that's dedicated for agricultural purposes and separate that from the house, but it works. We use all drip irrigation, so we don't need a ton of pressure.
Yeah.
It's just pretty hard up at the very top of the field. So this runs from our small garage in the back of the yard area, and runs about 600 feet through the woods out to our field, and then it runs all the way up where the top of our field is. And so each section of field has its own kind of header line that feeds off of that main line. We use all the same drip tape everywhere, so they've got 12-inch emitters, so every foot. For us, our soil is dense enough that we don't want to over-irrigate, so it's nice with low pressure. You generally get pretty good irrigation that way. Our vision is to continue to do what we're doing better. So we want to add more things to our farm, but we want to do it with purpose. So we want to make sure it fits into the natural landscape, the natural workflow of the farm. We want to make sure it's environmentally friendly in what we're doing, but overall we just want to do what we're doing better. One of the next things we're going to be doing is just a small project to hopefully put in a windbreak on the western edge of our field. It's up at the top of the ridge, it gets a ton of wind, and it can do a lot of damage to some of our annual crops. We had tomatoes up here last year, and the wind was just brutal on them. It makes it really hard on the trellising, and then when it's really wet, it'll knock the whole thing down.
Well, you've got one of the best windbreak trees in the whole state already. You got the red cedar there, which I know is sometimes considered undesirable, but it'll grow.
Even though, most of the time we want to take those out, we actually don't.
Yeah.
There's just a really beautiful formed one, and when you're standing at the field entrance and you look up at the top of the hill, it's right there in the middle, and it's just beautifully formed, and that's my mom's favorite tree. So that one's going nowhere.
All right, excellent.
I always tell, especially beginning farmers, especially farmers that are trying to grow organically, that are more interested in conservation practices, that they really should contact the NRCS, because there are tons of programs out there, one, to help you financially, but also there's just tons of ideas of ways that you can better utilize your land in a natural way that helps preserve the landscape, preserve the native habitat, enhance the habitat, provide habitat that wasn't there. A lot of things that are going to improve your overall farm. And so that's something we usually try to push on a lot of people, is to really contact the NRCS and figure that out. And it's a little bit of work sometimes, like getting in contact, getting the right person. For us, we're not a typical farm. We're doing a lot of different things. And so some of that has been working with people like Sarah that are more willing to, think outside the box and be really interested in what we're doing. I don't think a lot of people always know that they have that resource, but there are actually a ton of programs that work really well in conjunction with the type of farming that we're doing. And then, when it doesn't, our job is then to try to educate the staff so that they can then push for better programs for us. And I think that in a lot of ways, the staff have gotten really creative with us to find programs that work for our farm and our method of farming and land management. That's been really beneficial for us. One of the most surprising things is being able to see this landscape go from what it was just a few years ago to what we've done now, and the things that we've accomplished in such a short time, and to really be able to see the vision for that growing into the future.